Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Crypto's News. It's me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto, and it might be the case that we are doing a very special episode because the bull market may just have started. Now, of course, nothing is guaranteed, but we're going to be looking at why I might be saying that right now, and perhaps even other folks are saying that right now. But I think it has something to do with the prediction that I made in the last video as to whether what would happen based on the move that took place on January 4th. So last week I did do a video looking at the charts. We're going to take a look at that. And we're going to be covering, of course, the cryptocurrency news. So stay tuned, guys, and enjoy the ride. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Remember to subscribe if you're new to the show and hit that like button if you do appreciate the content. So let's go get into it. So looking at the prices today, you have Bitcoin up 0.9% at $6,808. You have Ethereum up 3.4%. I think that's the one to really be noting here. That is currently at $1,252. One of the notable climbers today is Cardano in the top 10. It's up 5.2%. It's funny. I had seen someone's New Year's resolution. It was like a bunch of bullet points. One of them was Cardano finally drops out of the top 20 tokens. I don't know if it'll be the case considering some of the strength that we're seeing today. Polygon is a fan favorite here as well, up 3.2%. A lot of institutional types, a lot of OGs have been buying that one. Sometimes it's hard to know if they're just trying to bid up their own bags and show you on something that they've been holding for a while, hoping for the best. But it does seem promising and does have a lot being built on it. But anyway, that's what we're seeing with the prices. Looking at the market cap overall, 1.7%. So why do I think that we might be in a bull market? Well, it has to do really with this. I haven't changed this chart. This is the exact same chart when I pulled this up the last time, where I had drawn these lines kind of haphazardly just to illustrate the point that we were about to be making a big move in crypto, or some sort of move anyway, to break out of this triangle formation that's been forming. It's been forming for quite some time. I mean, you can draw it back, you can draw it forward. I did that as well, but it looked like the culmination would have to be by January 4th or some point before January 4th. I actually thought it would happen beforehand. Usually that's when these things happen, but it happened right on the dot. I remember waking up and being like, oh, well, something better happen by today. or this is kind of be invalidated. And in fact, it broke out. So I was thinking if it broke to the downside, that would be confirmation really of bearishness, or at least more sideways. And if it broke to the upside, this would be a real change in indication, because now we're having these higher lows and higher lows going quite a ways back. I mean, I would say to like June 2022. This is with Ethereum. It's a little bit closer. I'm sorry, a little bit easier to read when you're looking at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, which is why I focused on this. And I do feel I've been one of those people that thinks that Ethereum might have really led a lot of the past bull markets with things like ICOs, with excitement around NFTs. Of course, there's always those who believe it's been Bitcoin with the halvening and so on. So it could be the case that maybe Bitcoin is a leader, but I do feel like something changed when Ethereum came on the story here. When was it? At the end of 2015, and started taking a lot of the market by the helm with some of the improvements and some of the things you could do with Ethereum that you couldn't do with Bitcoin. But yeah, so looking at this, seeing that it broke to the upside, to me is a real change in momentum, a real indicator that we don't want to continue to drop. You're seeing that change as well on TradingView, where under the technical indicator is now under buy. Previously, it's been just in sell or strong sell territory. I haven't seen it flip over to the buy in a long time, but I think that's indicative of what I'm talking about here. And a lot of this might have to do with these upgrades that came to Ethereum a few months ago, quite a while back now, 111 days actually since the merge took place for Ethereum. And so you've had all these different things that have happened for Ethereum that I think are very bullish. You have a lot of Ethereum being staked right now. Supply is taken off the market. It's not as available as it once was. And the inflation is much lower as well. So take a look at the amount of ETH that has been minted since 111 days ago when the supply change happened. And it's only 4,677 ETH that has been created or issued since then. But had we still been on proof of work and not done the merge, that number would have been 1,321,259 ETH. So this is a real change from how things have worked in the past with prior bull markets. So if you look at the prior bull markets, and you might want to use them just to get an idea of where the price could be headed. It's really hard to gauge, I would say, with two bull markets really being the only two data points that we have. I think it'll be important to see after this next bull market, if in fact it does climb higher. Nothing's a guarantee. It's not financial advice, of course. But if it does happen again, and it is higher than the prior highs of about $4,800, then it would be interesting to look at that bullet point for the fourth bull market right now. But looking at the first bull market in 2017 really culminated there in the beginning of 2018 when things started to drop off in January. But at the highs there, you had about $1,400 ETH. Then you got up to a $4,800 ETH, which is about a 3.2x. So if that happened again, that would take us just north of $16,000 for ETH in the next bull market. Not staggering amounts. And it really could be higher, it could be lower. We've seen with Bitcoin, after every cycle, it actually has really less multiple gains. It doesn't climb as much as it did in the prior one. But I don't know if it will be the same with Ethereum again because of these different dynamics with the triple halvening. And you can Google that if you haven't heard of that. Definitely a lot of articles that have been written about it. Pro and cons about it, or for it and against it. But I think it will be interesting to see. It's held up really nicely during this bear market, despite the crazy amount of bad news that's gone on, what's gone on with the Luna Terra fiasco, most recently some of the FTX fiascos, not doing much of an impact. To me, this is a market that has been holding strong and wants to move higher. And there are certainly those who have been waiting on the sidelines for the opportunity to do so. And I think as they start to see that we are getting these higher lows, it's going to change some of the indicators that the bots trade on. It's going to get money coming back in and paying attention, those who have not been paying attention during the last few months. And it probably will take folks overall some time to realize what's going on if we are in fact feeling a little bit more bullish here. And I really don't think it's the majority of people that agree with me. There's probably plenty of people here in the chat who disagree or who will be watching this video and disagree. So And I think you can look at the the crypto fear and greed index, and you'll see that we're still sitting in fear territory. We're still at a 29. There are many of those who don't believe we're in a bull market at all. We're still going to have a lot of downside, and that's pretty much what you see at the bottoms here, where there's still quite a bit of fear. And of course, you don't have a lot of participants involved. That's what creates the opportunity to get in a little bit earlier. So hopefully, you guys are rewarded if it is the beginning of the bull market and you've been holding on. Maybe you've been dollar cost averaging, holding strong. What the heck is going on back there? I don't know. He's looking for something. Sorry. But I'm not the only one that's so bullish. The crypto dog as well. Welcome to the 2023 bull market. And I think that's some of what I'm talking about is the reason for that. I heard at least one person tell me on Twitter that they think that it's not really that the beginning of the bull market, that we're still going down and Ethereum is just lagging Bitcoin. But I respectfully disagree with that. That could change. I will stay open to that. But what happened today to me is a real signal here. So we'll stay tuned and follow it, of course. And yeah, Jim Cramer, yeah, he thinks that 2023, Renee, indeed is just going to be a nothing year for cryptocurrency. Love that. I would love for that to be another signal that he's been wrong so many times that you should take the opposite side of his trades. Like there's that Twitter account you guys might have heard of, the Inverse Kramer Twitter account. Just basically looks at whatever Kramer says and invites you to do the opposite of it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for talking about the prices. We'll see where we head from here. I guess we could still finish the day in the negative. It's totally possible. I don't really foresee that too much. What we really see these days in crypto, I don't know. I think it's because you have so many institutional players and algorithmic traders going on, and so much of Wall Street involved, is that there really is just one or two major moves that happen during the day. And then the prices pretty much are flat there and they finish out the day. And then the next day we see what happens. I remember like earlier on in crypto, the price would be very volatile, even intraday, but it's just not something you see very much. So seeing that we're up at these levels right now, again, 3.4% for ETH. See, I refreshed. This doesn't automatically refresh. I refreshed this right before the video started and it's still the same. To me, it's a sign that we'll probably finish higher here and that bullet point will stay there. But yeah, things could reverse technically. Anyway, the Fed did say this. To me, it's a positive because this had the potential to impact prices to the downside, which was that none of the top 19 Federal Reserve officials said in their minutes of their December policy meeting that's come out that they were expecting interest rates to reverse course and be lowered this year at all. So you would think that kind of comment, that kind of hawkish comment, would reinforce that markets should continue to go down as it's gone down because of them hiking interest rates. Even though it's been cyclical, we've had crypto crash, boom and bust many, many times before the Federal Reserve did anything. We were basically in a flat, low interest rate environment for an entire decade and didn't really impact things. But this is, to me, the market saying it doesn't really matter too much, at least the cryptocurrency market, what the Fed does here. It wants to climb higher. And as I've said before, the money just keeps getting printed. It's not just in the U.S. with $1.77 trillion inflation bill. This is happening around the world, this kind of money printing. We're just like at the top, of course, as being the reserve currency, but that currency will be chasing a fewer basket of goods. Cryptocurrency is limited, yada, yada. You've heard it all before. And that will probably be what pushes things higher. Anyway, the Department of Justice is seizing Robinhood shares that belong to Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried purportedly owned over $450 million worth of Robinhood shares. So he held actually 90% of a company called Emergent Technologies, or Emergent. Emergent was created solely to hold Robinhood. According to court papers, Emergent didn't really function for any other purpose other than to hold Robinhood shares. But the Department of Justice has seized that. It seems that there are different claims on those Robinhood shares. For example, from Jonathan Ben Shimon, or Shyman. I remember I had met him at Crypto Invest Summit in Los Angeles. Pretty nice guy. From my interactions with him. And he's been involved in the cryptocurrency scene for some time now. He's apparently a creditor of FTX, and it seems that creditors might be due these shares. Those shares, however, might belong personally to Sam Bankman-Fried and not FTX. but that's still up a matter for debate. So there are three who are competing for those shares. So BlockFi, Bankman-Fried himself, and Jonathan Ben Sheeman, who are trying to get that. However, again, those might not be property of the bankruptcy estate. They might belong more to Emergent or more really directly to him. But it seems that he might not be due those shares. He might have to forfeit them, at least because he has been denied from accessing FTX Alameda funds. And they're basically trying to cripple him a little bit more financially. I think a lot of folks have been saying that that needs to happen to him based on what he's done. But it came out yesterday, if somehow you missed the news, that he pleaded not guilty to all 8 counts that were charged on him before he was extradited to the United States. So, according to U.S. Attorney Daniel Sassoon, the prosecution expects the bulk of the discovery of evidence and so on to be done in the coming weeks. And it looks like the court date is now set by Lewis Kaplan, the judge, to be happening at the end of the year. So it's going to be happening in October. Had a lot of people upset that he's going to be basically walking free till then, but that's usually how it works with bail and bond until that takes place. He has an opportunity to have, according to what his attorneys, have to file a motion to have the case dismissed by April. Although I think that's quite unlikely. It seems like they already got a lot of evidence on this gentleman. You have his co-conspirators, Carolyn Ellison. You have Gary Wang, who already pleaded not guilty and to help in this investigation. And they're probably already handing over paperwork. If everything is actually happening orderly and in the way as described and being reported, who the heck really knows? But anyway, if it is the case, and likely they have mountains of evidence that has already been piled since they filed the charges so quickly against Sam Bankman-Fried. And I imagine it might be difficult for him to get out of this one. But yeah, anyway, according to the prosecutor here, they should be freezing those assets of his, at least those assets related to FTX or Alameda that he might be able to access, and not allow him to do that because of how we had covered that Alameda research wallets had been moving possibly into wallets that were under the control of Sam Bankman-Fried. He denied that he actually had access to those wallets still, but Sassoon said that this is exactly the kind of reason he should be stopped from being able to access this stuff. This money is now accessible for the purpose of government seizure. And in relation to him saying that he didn't have access to those funds, she said, has tweeted false statements before and deleted them. So it makes sense, right? She's just not buying whatever he writes on Twitter, trying to cover his butt. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on here. This is what it looks like yesterday when he was entering the courtroom for his arraignment. What a mess. Come on, guys.
I gotta get in. I gotta get in. Guys, that's it.
And that reminds me of Ultra 2017. Oh, not 2017, 2020. So Celsius has been involved in
I gotta get in.
Minor Core Scientific. Core Scientific has had their own liquidity problems, possibly having to file bankruptcy, eventually getting loans this way and that. It looks like they were running for Celsius, the company that has now gone under. They were running 37,000 mining rigs.
Gotta get in.
37,000 mining rigs that are going to be shut down now after a hearing in court on April 3rd. So basically Celsius wanted to keep these machines running. They operate a mining business as well. But according to the different companies, Celsius has blamed Core Scientific because they said that they've supplied Celsius with less power than required under their contract agreement. But Core Scientific has not been paid since Celsius filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they've been losing $28,000 a day to operate these mining rigs. So you can imagine why they would want to shut them down. But I think they had to wait till this hearing before being able to do so. After a settlement, we're hearing now we're not seeking to make a dollar off of Core from Celsius. They said after today, Celsius agreed to let Core power down the rigs, and both sides are close to finalizing a deal to end their hosting relationship. So this ends that saga between the two parties. It says here that the shutting down of these rigs by Core Scientific for Celsius would allow for Core Scientific to then possibly offload that mining power to some sort of other entity. I think the best case scenario would be that we enter a bull market really quick, and then there is increasing demand for this hash power from folks who are seeking that, and then they do fill in that space for Celsius. I would imagine that would be, for Core Scientific, that would probably be the best case scenario, I would imagine. Yeah, thanks guys for letting me know about the audio. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a lag between the chat. Actually, I could probably fix that lag now since I'm not in 4K resolution. In 4K resolution, you have to have it at normal latency on YouTube, but if you lower the resolution to 1080p like we're at right now, I can lower the latency between when you guys write. So I'll probably work on that after this. Thanks for the heads up though, guys. Coinbase has been fined $50 million for anti-money laundering measures. This is on bitcoinist.com, but it's been reported all over the place, New York Times, etc. Basically, what's going on here is that apparently Coinbase had very low compliance when it came, or very lax compliance, I guess you could say, when it came to anti-money laundering measures, and their KYC process, their know your customer information, was basically they had people fill out, according to the New York Times, it functioned as a checklist where they were just like, okay, this account did it. Okay, give them an account. But there have been money launderers have been using the platform as far back as perhaps 2018 who have been able to access the site. There have been those who sell drugs, for example, on the deep web who have been able to access Coinbase and have accounts. And it looks like the New York Department of Financial Services is finally fed up, and they fined Coinbase $50 million. Also $50 million is going to paying that fine, and $50 million is going to be going to improve the company's compliance program. Actually, I'm not a fan of more and more of this kind of surveillance and making it more and more difficult for people to open accounts. I imagine it could even mean that if you have an account already on Coinbase, they might be asking you more questions. We know what a honeypot this is. For example, my buddy Juan Galt on Twitter, I believe he actually did a newsletter today. He runs a newsletter, and it was just about this subject in particular. You should probably check it out. Where is it? Here it is, 2 hours ago. Since Bitcoin is now at the then they F with you stage, here's my first article of the year on the lies behind know your customer laws, KYC, and it's a massive impact on identity theft, which costs the US over $40 billion a year. So check that out if you would like more information on the subject. But we've gone on about it at length over the years, and so have so many others in the space. And if you're new, it's worth trying to understand why the debate is about this and why, Coinbase generally has sided, I think, with the customer here. But it's getting harder and harder to do so because of the regulators. Anyway, we'll finish with the quote of the day here. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that we're in a bull market yet? Am I completely wrong in thinking that? I would really appreciate your input on that. If you can do that in the comments down below, that would be most appreciated. I'll finish with the quote, which is learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Albert Einstein. Take care, everyone. Much love and stay cryptic. Peace.